September 14th, 2025. In the scorching waters off the Yemeni coast, 28 speedboats carrying 290 heavily armed pirates launch a coordinated assault on a U.S. naval logistics vessel. A ship silently transporting critical supplies to a nearby American carrier strike group. Armed with anti-tank rockets and mounted heavy machine guns, the pirates execute their attack with military precision. Within moments, they've nearly seized complete control of the vessel. But these criminals gravely underestimated the enemy they were confronting. Suddenly, the horizon erupts with thunderous roars. 12 MH-60 Romeo Seahawk helicopters carrying 360 elite U.S. Marine Raiders equipped with cutting-edge weaponry. 6 FA-18E Super Hornets, 25 MQ-25 Stingray autonomous combat drones, all converging on a single objective: the pirates' stronghold. America arrived with overwhelming force, delivering steel, fire, and absolute destruction. There would be no diplomatic negotiations, no mercy shown, no opportunity for escape. Because when you hijack a vessel flying the American flag, you're not merely confronting sailors, you're challenging the entire military might of the United States. Join me as we uncover exactly what happened to these brave sailors. 5:23 a.m., September 14th, 2025. A U.S. aircraft carrier supply vessel, disguised as a commercial freight ship, moved stealthily through pirate-infested waters off Yemen's coastline to deliver essential support materials. Aboard were 12 lightly armed U.S. Navy personnel, protecting a ship laden with aviation fuel and classified explosive compounds required to operate F-35 Lightning fighters and long-range Tomahawk cruise missiles on aircraft carriers. This wasn't simply cargo. It represented the operational lifeblood of an entire U.S. carrier battle group. Without warning, the vessel's emergency alarm system activated. 28 speedboats, traveling at velocities exceeding 55 knots, streaked across the water like a deadly swarm. Each craft carried 10 pirates armed with RPG-7 rocket launchers, heavy machine guns, and assault rifles. More than 290 attackers, hardened by decades of maritime piracy and combat experience. This represented no random criminal act. It was a precisely coordinated, military-style operation. The pirates divided into multiple assault teams. One group utilized rocket-propelled grenades and vessel-mounted weapons to suppress the American defenders, forcing them into defensive positions. A second group attacked the ship's vulnerable sections, deployed boarding hooks, and scaled the hull. The sound of automatic gunfire shattered the calm ocean. American security forces returned fire from behind steel shipping containers. 4 pirates were neutralized, but it wasn't sufficient resistance. In less than 5 minutes, the ship fell under hostile control. 7 Americans were killed in action. 4 sustained serious wounds. The pirates stormed the command bridge and established complete operational control. The surviving sailors were bound with rope restraints and forced to lie on the deck under armed guard. But one critical action changed everything dramatically. Before his capture, the ship's commanding officer, a former Navy lieutenant commander, activated a silent emergency distress beacon. The signal transmitted directly to the nearest American carrier group, patrolling less than 180 kilometers away. The pirates celebrated their apparent victory, believing they had captured another supply ship for ransom demands. They had no understanding they had stolen a vital component of American naval striking power. Most importantly, they remained unaware that hundreds of American combat aircraft were airborne and rapidly approaching their position. A stern-faced Rear Admiral Thompson approached the podium and delivered an uncompromising message. No hostile force seizes a U.S. naval asset and escapes consequences. No enemy threatens our supply networks without facing retaliation. America will respond faster, harder, and more decisively than they could ever anticipate. This will not conclude with negotiations. It will end with explosions visible from orbit. Still watching? Excellent. Because now comes the segment where American warriors reclaim the ship systematically, deck by deck. To external observers, it appeared as a weathered cargo vessel, slow, silent, and unremarkable. But beneath its steel decks lay one of the most strategically crucial assets in the U.S. Navy's logistics network. Officially designated Supply Vessel 84 Alpha, the ship transported high-density aviation fuel, missile guidance systems, thermal ignition compounds, and encrypted electronics components for the nearby carrier strike group operating in the Red Sea. Simply stated, without this vessel, the carrier's F-35 fighters couldn't conduct missions, and its missile systems couldn't engage targets. It functioned as a floating fuel depot, a mobile weapons platform, and an extremely high-value target, one the Navy never anticipated would fall into enemy hands. The pirates remained unaware, but by seizing this vessel, they had just compromised a mission-critical element in the U.S. global strike network. If those materials were sold or, worse, reverse-engineered by hostile nations, the consequences would extend far beyond the Arabian Peninsula. Inside the Pentagon, emergency protocols activated immediately. The incident was instantly classified as a national security crisis. Intelligence analysts feared that if the pirates transferred the contents, the materials could be channeled to hostile governments or terrorist organizations. Time was rapidly running out. The pirates were now less than 12 nautical miles from their coastal fortress, a notorious black market hub that had evaded international military strikes for years. The U.S. response required immediate, overwhelming, and absolute action. Not merely to recover the ship, but to transmit a message to every criminal organization on Earth. If you target America's supply chains, you face America's complete military response. Don't go anywhere. What you're about to witness represents one of the most rapid and precise hostage rescue operations in U.S. military history. At 5:26 a.m., just 3 minutes after pirates overwhelmed the American supply ship, a classified emergency signal illuminated the tactical display aboard USS Enterprise, the flagship carrier of the strike group positioned 142 miles southeast. Within 45 seconds, the red alert designation, Priority Alpha, hostile seizure of high-value naval asset, was transmitted across 4 U.S. Navy vessels and 3 airborne command centers. There was no time for diplomatic protocols. Rear Admiral Michael Thompson issued orders without hesitation. Initiate Operation Steelhammer. We launch immediately. The response was lightning fast and surgical. Aboard the USS Enterprise, 12 MH-60R Seahawk helicopters were wheeled onto the flight deck, each loaded with 30 fully armed Navy SEALs and Marine Force reconnaissance operators. A total of 360 elite troops, specially selected for maritime boarding and hostage extraction operations. Simultaneously, 6 FA-18E Super Hornets were armed with precision-guided munitions, and GAU-22A cannons capable of delivering thousands of rounds per minute. In the hangar bays below, flight crews launched 25 MQ-25 Stingray drones, the latest in artificial intelligence-powered reconnaissance and strike technology. Each drone was equipped with dual micro-ordnance bays, advanced thermal targeting systems, and encrypted real-time data links directly to the operations command center. Within 11 minutes of the distress signal, the skies over the Red Sea thundered with military power. 3 distinct waves launched simultaneously. The first wave, unmanned aerial vehicles, flew ahead to locate the hijacked vessel and identify escort craft. The second wave, Super Hornets, circled at high altitude, preparing to provide air-to-surface fire suppression. The third wave, Seahawk helicopters, moved low across the ocean surface, utilizing radar masking flight profiles. Each flight group was monitored in real time by satellite surveillance and E-2D Advanced Hawkeye early warning aircraft overhead, ensuring complete airspace control. Back on the carrier, Admiral Thompson observed the digital battle map. The hijacked supply ship was now just 9.4 nautical miles from a known pirate compound. If the enemy reached shore, the operation would transform into urban warfare, exponentially more dangerous for the hostages. There would be no margin for delay, no tolerance for failure. This wasn't simply a rescue operation. It was a strategic demonstration. And America was prepared to make that statement with overwhelming force and absolute precision. Proud to be American? Smash that like button and subscribe to stay with our content. At 6:34 a.m., as the hijacked American supply ship drifted within visual range of the Yemeni coastline, the sky above it suddenly transformed. From the northeast, a formation of MQ-25 Stingray drones emerged in complete electromagnetic silence. They flew low and aggressive, nearly touching the ocean surface, before breaking into attack configuration. The lead drone identified 6 pirate escort boats flanking the captured vessel. Within seconds, each target was designated and locked for engagement. Then came the initial strike wave. Precision micro-munitions descended from the drones, detonating with surgical accuracy. The ocean erupted into towering columns of water and flame as all 6 escort boats were obliterated in under 15 seconds. Simultaneously, 3 FA-18E Super Hornets dove from high altitude, executing strafing runs along the ship's starboard side. Cannon fire ripped through the upper deck, destroying improvised fighting positions and pirate weapon emplacements. RPG rounds exploded mid-flight before they could be launched at American aircraft. Then, like specters emerging from the sea, 12 MH-60R Seahawks appeared from the southwest, hovering just above the waterline. Fast ropes deployed instantly. SEALs and Marine Raiders descended onto the ship's deck in perfect coordination. The pirates never had a fighting chance. From bow to stern, the American operators advanced like a precision instrument. Compartment by compartment, level by level, they systematically cleared the vessel. One assault team breached the navigation bridge. 3 pirates were neutralized before they could shoulder their weapons. Another team eliminated hostiles near the engine compartment using flashbang grenades and suppressed automatic fire. The hostages, restrained and injured, were rapidly located and evacuated to the central deck area. Combat medics stabilized the wounded while SEALs established defensive perimeters. In under 10 minutes, every pirate aboard was either eliminated or detained. Not a single American hostage was lost during the operation. But the mission wasn't complete. Through drone surveillance footage, intelligence revealed the pirates' mainland base just 9 nautical miles inland. A heavily fortified compound featuring vehicle depots, fuel storage facilities, and communications equipment. It had operated as a criminal marketplace for nearly 2 decades. Admiral Thompson didn't hesitate. Redirect targeting. Eliminate the facility. Within minutes, 6 additional Super Hornets swept inland. They delivered GBU-38 JDAM bombs onto primary structures, leveling the main headquarters complex in a single bombing run. Secondary explosions illuminated the coastline as fuel storage tanks and ammunition stockpiles erupted into massive fireballs. The final strike originated from above, a Reaper drone releasing a single AGM-114 Hellfire missile onto the communications tower. The explosion was visible for dozens of miles. By 6:57 a.m., the base no longer existed as an operational facility. More than 600 pirates were confirmed eliminated, with dozens more captured or buried beneath the collapsed structures. The message was unmistakable. You don't hijack an American warship, and you never threaten a U.S. logistics network at sea. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for Missile Mind, and drop your thoughts in the comments about America's rapid response capabilities. Your engagement helps us continue bringing you the most detailed military analysis content. The pirate compound had stood for decades along the Yemeni coast, protected by difficult terrain and local corruption. It served as their fortress, their trading center, their seemingly untouchable sanctuary. By 7 a.m., it was reduced to smoking rubble. After the supply ship was secured, the U.S. Navy directed its complete firepower against the pirate stronghold. Using real-time UAV surveillance, precise GPS coordinates were transmitted to a secondary strike group orbiting inland. First came the FA-18E Super Hornets, flying in tight attack formation. At 400 feet altitude, they released GBU-38 JDAM bombs, laser-guided munitions that struck with devastating precision. The command complex disintegrated immediately. Concrete walls crumbled. Communication towers collapsed. Flames shot hundreds of feet into the sky. Next, MQ-9 Reaper drones entered the target area, each armed with Hellfire missiles and thermal imaging systems. They targeted bunker entrances and concealed weapon stockpiles. One missile destroyed a hidden armory, triggering a sequence of violent secondary explosions that consumed half the compound in fire. Pirates attempted to return fire, but their efforts were futile. Their anti-aircraft defenses were primitive, obsolete, and completely overwhelmed before they could acquire a single American aircraft. Then came the ground assault phase. From 3 CH-53E Super Stallion helicopters, Marine raiders deployed to the smoldering perimeter, executing a coordinated sweep operation. Using drone intelligence feeds and infrared night vision, they systematically eliminated remaining resistance in the tunnels and alleyways. No warning shots were fired, no negotiations attempted. Over 600 pirates were neutralized in less than 25 minutes. Dozens more, those too wounded to flee, were taken prisoner, zip-tied, blindfolded, and airlifted for interrogation. By 7:30 a.m., what had been a pirate stronghold became a cratered wasteland, its skyline reduced to smoke columns and twisted metal debris. The world witnessed it firsthand, and for every pirate, warlord, or rogue nation observing, the warning was now burned into history. You don't attack the United States of America at sea unless you're prepared to be erased from existence. This operation transcended a simple rescue mission. It represented a strategic reminder. In a world increasingly characterized by asymmetric warfare, maritime piracy, and gray zone conflicts, the U.S. Navy demonstrated that logistics isn't vulnerability, it's power projection. A supply ship, often overlooked and underprotected, proved to be the nerve center of an entire carrier group's offensive capabilities. And when that critical link was threatened, America didn't hesitate. It responded with the complete spectrum of modern warfare: surveillance, air supremacy, special operations forces, and precision strikes. The pirates believed they could attack quickly, disappear into the coastline, and negotiate from a position of fear. Instead, they discovered the true cost of provoking a global superpower. For U.S. military strategists, this also served as a lesson in operational readiness. The world's oceans remain contested spaces, and America's global presence is only as effective as its ability to protect the supply lines that sustain it. This wasn't merely about Yemen. It was a warning to every hostile actor on every coastline. Attack one ship, face the weight of an entire nation. The rescue of the U.S. supply vessel wasn't just a military victory. It was a declaration to the international community. It reminded the world that the United States does not tolerate threats to its forces, its personnel, or its global presence. What began as a brutal ambush by over 290 armed pirates concluded with the complete annihilation of their forces, the destruction of their base, and the safe recovery of every surviving American crew member. But beyond the battlefield success, this operation transmitted a far deeper message. America's strength isn't solely in aircraft carriers or fighter aircraft. It's in its capability to respond rapidly, precisely, and without compromise. Every component in the chain, from supply ships to forward operating bases, is protected by a force that never rests, never retreats, and never forgets. To any hostile force observing, the ocean is vast, but nowhere is safe when you target the United States. And to every American citizen, be assured that no matter where our flag flies, it is never alone. If you support our troops and believe in American strength, don't forget to subscribe to Missile Mind and share this content with others who appreciate detailed military analysis.